I made this macaroni and cheese recipe and I wasn't a big fan, but my husband and kids liked it, so maybe if you have little people, they may like it. I'm starting off by making a roux. This is a tablespoon and a half of plant-based butter with a couple tablespoons of flour. It never quite thickened up. I should have used more flour, but it did okay. I don't know if the plant-based butter just has more liquid in it and that's what causes it to need more flour. You can see I added quite a bit and it still never quite did what it was supposed to do. So if you have one that works better, put in the comments, let me know. I'm adding in a cup, roughly, of unsweetened almond milk to mix into the roux, and I've got my noodles going over here. I'm just using shells and cheese because that's what we happen to have here at the house. So I'm going to blend this is where you can kind of tell it wasn't quite thick enough yet, but I'm trying to blend it in to the milk and make a traditional roux. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to it. I wait to add my pepper so it doesn't change the color at all. Next time I might try to add an egg. I didn't do that this time, and bake it up and see if that helps a little bit for this recipe, because Bay's macaroni and cheese is another one of my favorite foods. I have a really good normal recipe for it. I just haven't found the cheese to adapt it into a alpha gal safe recipe yet. But continue mixing till it's all blending together. I use a little bit of the cream cheese. I melted it beforehand in the microwave and it actually tasted pretty good. I had mentioned in another video that was a savory cream cheese and I didn't think it would work in desserts, but I think this one might. I don't know about a cheesecake because cheesecakes can be kind of finicky, but in like maybe some cheesecake brownies where you just add some eggs to it, I think it would be pretty good. So I'm going to add a little bit of onion powder here, and like just a little bit, maybe a half a teaspoon. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of mustard, ground mustard. And I do that because I find that these cheeses can be kind of one note and they tend to be salty. So I don't use a lot of extra salt, just a little bit to flavor the milk a little. So this is not a cheese that I would normally put in my macaroni and cheese. I don't usually use a cheese sauce in it. I use cheddar in my roux or even some, American. But here we are. This is a vegan cheese. So it tasted okay when I just gave it a lick. I think it would be good on something like broccoli and cheese. But I just poured that in there and it was still a pretty runny mixture. So I did have to cook it down quite a bit to make it where it would have coated the macaroni noodles. And I just mixed it in there and you'll see in a second it starts to look a little bit more like macaroni and cheese. My husband and I were talking about the flavors of this cheese and we both thought that it sort of had almost like a buttery flavor, and I don't know if that is all the stuff I put in the cheese. Next time I might just pour that cheese sauce directly over the noodles and see if it's better without the cream cheese, without the roux. Maybe it would have a better flavor. So I'm not sure. And then I'm going to add my pepper. Like I said, I always add that to the end so it gets kind of mixed in there and it doesn't color the food too much. I go ahead and add my shells to the macaroni and cheese mixture and stir it in and get everything nicely coated. If I was going to make a baked macaroni and cheese, I would take it off the heat and I would add just one egg that I've beaten up and pour it over it. And then I would stick it in a pan and I would bake it at like 350 until it was done on the top. But like I said, this was just a simple recipe, so it's just a basic creamy macaroni and cheese. I am going to keep trying to come up with a recipe of macaroni and cheese that I like as well, and not just my kids and husband. But I hope you enjoy.